Last week we met David, a little shepherd boy who loved caring for sheep.
That's me!
Even though David was the smallest in his family, God chose him to be the king of Israel. The prophet Samuel put oil on his head and made him king, but then he left without giving David any idea of what he was to do next. So David went back to caring for his sheep. One day, David's dad Jesse asked David to take some food to his brothers who were off fighting the Philistines.
Off I go!
When David arrived at the battlefield, he saw a huge giant, Goliath, who was the champion of the enemy army, the Philistines. Goliath was challenging all the soldiers of Israel to fight him.
Fight me, you stinky weaklings. My God's better than yours anyways.
David couldn't believe his ears.
Who do you think this is? There's no match to go. I'll fight him!
While most people laughed at David and his brothers told him to go home, King Saul heard about David and asked to meet him.
So you think you can beat the giant, eh? He's been fighting since he was in nappies, and you're just a boy.
My God's better than Goliath.
Then David explained to the king how God had helped him fight lions and bears in the past, and how he had faith that God would help him again. So King Saul said,
Okay, kid, have a bash, but take my armor.
Saul's armour was too big for David, so he said,
No thanks, Kingy, I've got this. These are too big.
David went down to the creek near the field and found 5 smooth stones. Then he went down to the valley where Goliath was still making fun of God and his people.
Look at you guys. Quiet down, big guy. Got that shade the boss.
David put a rock in his sling, swung it around and let fly. The rock hit Goliath direct on his head and the stone sank into his forehead. Goliath had been defeated, and through David, God had rescued his people.
Take that, you bully.
The people celebrated a great victory, and the Philistines stopped hassling the Israelites. David became more and more popular, but God still had a lot more to teach David before he could take King Saul's throne. But that story is for another day. To be continued.